All right. So let's say you've identified yourself as perhaps having some of these demon-y tendencies in your game. I'm going to talk a little bit about, where it comes from, some of the causes of this problem, and how it can develop from a small problem to, a major problem. A problem so bad you might think about quitting the game, or maybe if you're trying to play in college or professionally, at least thinking about giving it up when it gets really bad. So, working and talking with players that have the demons, the story typically goes something like this. You play golf as a kid growing up, you probably play in high school, probably pretty good player. You get to college, maybe you're on a college team, and maybe after college you may not have any of these issues just yet. You may be accurate or maybe not so accurate off the tee, but certainly not to the point where certain courses become unplayable in tournaments. So it's kind of a vicious, mechanical / mental cycle. Typically, you're the kind of player who really does care about your golf game. You spend a significant amount of your time working on your game. You've taken a lot of lessons, most likely, spent a lot of time practicing, spent a lot of money, traveling and paying entry fees, and it's a big part of your life. So much so that you identify yourself in a lot of ways as a golfer. Maybe first and foremost, or if not primarily as a golfer, it's definitely a high priority in your life. Enough that you really care how you play. So when you take somebody that really does, care a lot about their performance, and then you add to that, some kind of a swing issue that maybe starts small. Maybe you have a swing that is predisposed to put a little extra hook on the ball. We'll say that's kind of, my story, so to speak. As you play, you may not think it's that big a deal. You hit an occasional hook, and don't worry too much about it. But after a while, as you get bigger, stronger, your swing gets better, more club head speed, all those things. Sometimes those hooks get bigger and bigger, and depending on where they happen, they can psychologically or emotionally, hurt more and more, as your career goes on. So, if you struggle with, let's just say, a hook, then you probably are going to have kind of an anti-hook swing thought or anti-hook swing in your arsenal, something that you've kind of developed to combat this hook. And depending on the severity of the hook, sometimes the compensation for that can also be problematic. It can be way too much. For example, if you're hooking the ball pretty bad, you might have a swing thought of trying to hold off the face and not let the toe pass the heel, or whatever you may have been taught to fix it. And under duress or under pressure, it's very easy to overcook that as well, and end up hitting the ball way right because you're trying not to hit it left. So as this kind of pattern happens, over and over and more frequently, a lot of time your hook, let's just say it's the hook that's the first problem, might not get any better, but your compensation you get better and better at compensating, and your miss to the right suddenly becomes a huge problem as well. So typically you're going to have this big two-way miss, and underneath it all, mentally, you're going to have this fear of one, if not both of those shots, which then result in very steery, tentative, indecisive swings where you're out there either trying not to hook it or whatever the case might be, and you can miss it both ways, with almost equal frequency, and both in really big ways. So the problem generally starts as a kind of a mechanical issue, in my opinion. You have a little swing flaw that leads to some problems, and then we add to that, we add some care. maybe too much care about how you play. I mean, you have a hard time just shrugging off a bad shot. So we add some care to that, and then we make you really good at compensating, and all of a sudden you've got this huge miss pattern that comes up, which doesn't happen on the range, because on the range you might be hitting balls and you're not really scared, let's say, of hooking it, so you can just kind of swing your normal swing, or kind of maybe your gentle anti-hook swing, and be fine. But the more you start to fear the hook, the more you miss it right, or the more you swing your swing under pressure, the more you might hit it left. So like I said, this series of videos, the first few after this are going to be talking about managing your game in the meantime, or in the short term, while you're kind of getting a handle on the bigger picture of problems. And then at the end, maybe I'll try to give you some ideas for how to actually fix those things on a bigger picture scale. All right, so for this video, I'm pretty much still on board. If you have a miss pattern that's a certain direction, if it gets more severe and then you have a correction for it and that gets very severe, then you get into this pattern of, overdoing the correction or swinging your normal swing, which has a bad tendency, especially under pressure. This overdoing corrections thing really is a big problem if you've got a big two-way miss. And I believe that to this day. So, going forward in some of the videos where we're talking about the technical changes you might try to make, I'll discuss what worked for me. Might be controversial, but worked for me. So that's all I care about. Maybe it'll work for you. It's just something else you can try. If you got the demons, you should be open to many options. So I don't really have much to add to this one.